Okay, so just before his screen comes live, just like I said, we're taking internal audit and outsourcing. And this is a very easy flow chapter. It's a chapter that most of us will already be familiar with from our day-to-day work. At least from the first class, I've gotten that some of us work in the hospitality industry and some of us are internal auditors in our places of work. Hopefully, I'm not mistaking this class for the AA, for the skills AA and forensic class. However, I think where we will start from this evening is to ask that when you hear the word internal audit, what comes to your mind? What is an internal audit? So anybody can just unmute and speak, pending when we're figuring out the connection.
Good evening, ma. What page did you say this chapter is, ma?
96 on the face of the pack. 96, chapter 13. I can proceed to share my screen, but finding it hard to rotate it to landscape. So it is not going to be clear, but we can just try. You can see, right? Rotate reasons. Okay. So 96. So when you hear the word internal audits, what comes to your mind? If they say, okay, we're having an internal audit, what do you identify it to be? No, we have 2 hours, so let's just buy time and get
Okay,
this
let me
done.
try.
Okay.
Hello, ma, can I try?
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
Yeah, internal audit. Yes, internal audit is the personnel in a company who check the controls
Mm-hmm.
if they are still intact and who see if everybody follows the required rules and regulation of the company. You know, they check if the rules are still intact and if the staff are checking. I mean, are following it.
Okay.
So
Thank you. So like yeah, that's like a general overview. That's what a layman will tell you that internal audit is, and you have made a very strong point there. But
Can I try it too, ma?
okay, yes, you can.
Okay, so for me, internal audit, quite different from internal auditor. Internal
Okay.
audit it's a system put in place by the management of an organization,
Mm-hmm.
so that they can review or checkmate the accounting and internal control system of that organization.
Okay. So that they
Hello,
can
ma,
review.
can I try?
Yes, you can.
Yes, it's an appraisal system established by management for review of accounting and internal control system in an organization. Can you hear me?
Well, yeah, but okay. It's for review of accounting and internal control, but this looks like you're reading my material. Oh,
No,
is this definition? Can I trust you?
no, it's not your materials, though.
Even that you're reading my material. But
No,
thank
it's not.
you guys.
It's not your material.
I can see the rotate button now, like up here. But oh my god, technology. But
But Isha is an appraisal system
mhm.
set up by organization for review. Did I try?
Yeah, yes. I like that you have said that it is set up by the organization. It is set up by man.
Yes.
Yes, that's very important. So let's just go into it. Now, are you ready to share your screen now?
I'm doing that now. But the thing is, I can't open the material. I don't know why.
Material is on the group.
Okay. Hold on.
Okay. So internal audits, please can you mute? I think you can on one end because there's an echo. Maybe your phone and your system is connected. So internal audit is a dynamic, like the service of an internal audit in itself is basically a profession that just enables organizations to achieve their objective. This is concerned with evaluating and improving the effectiveness of risk management, internal control, governance, and governance processes in an organization. So, but internal audit in itself, as a definition, is an independent appraisal system. So it's an independent appraisal system. However, it is established by management. So management like implementing that independent appraisal system so that they can review the accounting and internal control system resident in that entity, right? Now, the role of internal audit has become significantly necessary in recent times because it's basically it is adding to how people view an organization. So it is not a compulsory thing to be done, but having an internal audit team kind of shows an outsider that, okay, this entity prioritizes the correctness of their financial records and all of that. And okay, for them to have even made efforts into putting in place an internal control system to at least be able to detect all these errors before they materialize, we want to believe that they are taking a good step in the right direction, right? So basically, it is a management tool. I'm saying all of this to say that what it is a management tool. It is not external auditors that are responsible for carrying out internal audits. For somebody to be an internal auditor, you will be a staff of that entity. Somebody that is external, that is not in that entity, cannot be an internal auditor, right? So for an internal auditor, you must be recognized as a staff of that entity. Although, as we move on further, we'll see how organizations now use audit firms as their internal auditor because, okay, they want a level of professionalism to the internal audit work and all of that. So, yeah. Now, you know that it is an independent appraisal system. However, it is carried out by who? By management. Why do they carry it out? Because they want to review the accounting and internal control system that is resident in their entity. Okay? So, moving on. I want to talk about the reasons and importance for internal audits. Please, are you ready to share your screen now?
Yes.
Okay, let me just stop sharing my. Okay, so please help us put it on the screen. It's yet to be live.
Can you see my screen? Can you see it now?
Nope. Okay. Just came on from this end.
Is it on?
Yes, it is, but we need it in landscape. Or no, just zoom in. Zoom in so that we can read it. Do you take more? Okay, this fine. So scroll down to the first page. Yes. So thank you. So importance and So we're talking about the importance and the reasons for internal control. So when they tell you the reasons, it will be putting two in front. Then when they ask you importance, you now say what it achieves. You understand? What are the reasons for internal control? Internal audit helps to monitor. Those are the reasons why. But what are the importance too? Internal control, the implementation of internal control helps management You understand? I'm just trying to say that if the subheading is different, it's just how you put the answers that will be different. So what are the reasons for internal audit? Why do management in recent times have to conduct an internal audit? The first one is internal audit helps management to monitor the controls within their entity. So somebody, when she was answering the question in class, she had already said it that with internal audits, what happens is that management, no, it was a guy that, it was a man that said, let me confirm the person's name. I think I remember now. Okay. I'm just getting your message, Minister of Finance, but I think that we already did that. Okay. So, it was Mr. Olatoko Samwe that said that, the essence of internal audit is to check that the guidelines that have been outlined by management in terms of the internal controls are being followed, and that is very, very important. Now, the thing about internal control is that control is good on paper. Okay, this is personnel control, segregation of duty. We discuss the types of control Papa Mosas in our audit approach. So control is good on paper, but the thing about change is that change is always met with resistance. So if there are no structures in place to ensure that these internal control procedures that have been outlined are being followed, it's as good as those controls not being residents. It's as good as them not even being in application. The second thing is that internal audits can be used to monitor the efficiency of operations. So, like I said, you see, what you are doing in your internal audit is evaluating accounting and what internal control. You're evaluating the accounting system and the internal control. So, because internal auditors are in that organization, their staff of that organization, they are there day to day. So, it's supposed to be something that they are supposed to be able to spotlight deficiencies in operations before it is being capitalized into like external audit. So because they are there, they are supposed to be able to do what? Outline deficiencies in operations. The third one we have is that internal audit helps management to check on compliance with laws and regulation. Yes, some organization, they call it audit and compliance unit, SEF. Yes. So that compliance arm is going to be filled with like legal practitioners that are going to be making sure that they are following the proper regulatory framework as it relates to that industry, like all the proper certification that they should have, avoidance of fines and things like that. So that's another core reason why an internal audit function is important. Now, the relevance of internal audit varies from industry to industry. So people that are in aviation, you guys can hear me clearly, right?
Yes, we can.
Yes, it's audible.
Okay, people that are in aviation, people that are in telecom, people that are in oil and gas, they cannot joke with internal audits. They cannot joke with compliance because there are regulatory bodies that are like checking their activities, that when fine or things like that come, usually in millions and in billions. So because it is not a compulsory thing to be done, right? The need for it varies based on the need of that particular industry or the dynamic nature of the client's business. You understand? Okay. This is because I'm just trying to retrace where they said there are no legal requirements to establish an internal audit function. So many organizations, they just do it so that they can look like, oh, it's like an add-on. It is like what differentiates them from their competitors. That's why they decide to do it. Now, another reason for internal audit is that you can have specialized internal auditors to help review the effectiveness of your IT system. So you want to have people, you want to think about companies like Flutterwave, like PayPal, some companies like Flutterwave, like PayPal. Of course, they will have an internal audit unit that basically reviews the effectiveness of their IT system. Like businesses now, this whole thing about web pay and all of that. There's a need to also have internal auditors that are reviewing the integrity of your commercial transactions on the web, right? So you can streamline your internal auditors and have guys that are on that end. The fifth one is that internal audit departments may be used for work that is not related to the external. Okay, they may be used for work that the external auditor would ordinarily not take in. right? So you want to do like a review on whether you should discontinue a particular division. Your internal auditors can do that. You want to do like a risk assessment on a particular business initiative that you want to take. Those people are your staff, right? They're in your payroll. I know when they're in your payroll, you can select or you can decide the scope of their work. But when your external auditor comes in, he comes in with an engagement letter that has the scope of the work he will do and that has the scope of the work that you will do. You understand? And any other work that they do that is not audit, they will treat it as a non-audit work and they will collect separate money for it, right? But you can use your internal auditors to carry out those kind of reports, even if it is board that is requesting for those reports. Other forms of, it can be audit work, but maybe not, the reason why we're doing external audit is because it is statutorily required by law. Okay. Now, do we have the next one? Senior management can use internal audit work, can use the work by an internal audit department to carry out an external check on its operations departments. So the internal audit department will do like a report on their operations department, and then senior management can use that to make business decisions. That, okay, this is what an internal auditor said. Actually, the goal of an internal audit department is when they do the work that they do, they will do a report, but it's to management. Management is supposed to check that report at intervals. Maybe they are doing their reports quarterly, maybe they are doing their reports monthly. Management are supposed to check that internal auditor's reports and use it to now make business decisions. The same way an external auditor will give them management letter, and before when it comes by the next financial year, he's checking that management letter to make sure that all the suggestions that he made, maybe some weaknesses that he identified or everything like that they have been correctly applied. That is the same way if an internal auditor gives a report to management, they're supposed to take it seriously and act upon it. When we continue, we'll see the disadvantages. Let's not fly. Okay. Then we have the last one, which is that where there is a high risk of control failure, the location or business may be visited more frequently by the internal auditor. So if we have cases of a high risk, maybe a high risk division, you have a chain of business, but there's one particular business that requires more attention because of the nature of the business activity, right? So where they are like high risk businesses, or in the case of an audit, you have discovered that a particular division needs like more attention. What happens in this case is that the internal auditor is the one that will be able to frequent at that place where they are having need for like additional care. What is due diligence, what is care varies. So those are the reasons for internal audit. Like I said, they ask you reasons you are putting to monitor the controls within the entity, to monitor the efficiency of operations, to check on compliance with laws and regulation, to review the effectiveness of control, to carry out other work that may not be in the scope of the external auditor, to carry out to use the reports to carry out an external check on the operations department, and to be able to do like a more due diligence or level of care on an entity or a division that requires additional care in this case, or additional support or additional follow-up. So that is when they ask you reasons, you just put two in front. Now when they ask you importance, that is where you can lift it the way it has been written here. Internal audit health management, audit function can be used, the same way it is here. Okay. Now, what are the internal control activities? All your internal control activities, they stem from your importance of internal control. What are your internal control activities? Number one, monitoring of what are your internal audit activities? Number one is monitoring of what's internal control. Even from definition, it is there. Your internal audit is doing what? Reviewing the accounting and internal control system. So for your internal audit activities, the first one is monitoring internal controls. Senior management needs to reassure themselves that this internal control they are putting in place is not just a package, it's not just an ideology, that the staff are actually implementing the internal controls that have been put in place. The second one is examination of the financial and operating information. An internal audit department may be given the responsibility for a detailed examination of financial and reporting information. So, like I said, it is the internal audit that is responsible for reviewing what accounting systems. So, if they have like a financial system in place, the internal audit is supposed to, when they are giving their reports, talk about what are the risks that are involved, what are they realizing, month on month, instead of just waiting till the end of the financial year when external auditor come before they are able to work on it. Okay. Then we have number 3, review of economy, efficiency, and effectiveness of operation. Who knows what we call economy, efficiency, and effectiveness? What is Papa Mosas again? So Papa Mosas is the type of internal control. P is where do we start from now? Physical control, arithmetic control, personnel control, authorization and approval, management control. S is we can call it segregation of duty. A is acknowledgement of performance, and then the last S is supervisory controls. They can do Papa Mosas B. B is also budgetary controls. So these are all the type of internal controls that an entity puts in place. And when you come and you want to audit and you want to use a system-based approach, that means you are checking their internal control and whether you can rely on that internal control to be able to carry out your own audit work. So that's what I'm referencing. You can use the audit approach class, Sarat Mustafa, right? So that will help you. There were 2 classes for audit approach, so you can listen to them. The second one will help you better. So I was asking that when we say 3 E's, economy, efficiency, and effectiveness, what does it mean? PSAP students, what are the 3 E's? What do they call them?
I think it's under value for money audit.
Exactly. Thank you. Yes, the 3 E's called value for money. So when you want to check that an activity from an activity that was conducted, you actually had value for money, there are 3 indicators. Those 3 indicators are called the 3 E's. Economy means doing things, they'll call it doing things cheaply, but it is not doing things cheaply. I think it's unstable. It's unstable. No. So if they don't call it doing things cheaply, they say that doing things with the least minimum economic like amounts that particular service could have been done for. Okay, so doing things at an economical price is called what? Economy. Efficiency is doing things well on an input and output basis. So efficiency means doing things well on an input and output basis. So let's say from 1 unit of a raw material, we're able to get, like, standard is from 1 unit of raw material, we're able to get 5 of our products, right? So if you are able to replicate that time and time again without any defects, without any substandard goods and everything like that, that process is said to be efficient. Effectiveness means doing the right thing. So effectiveness is, how some of us will want to cook food. Maybe some people in this class, you just want to cook. Your own is that the food which are done. Abi, other people used to fight on themselves on comment section. This is not my mother used to cook it. This is not. You don't know whether your mother was one that was not cooking the right thing. Abi, and yet you are blaming somebody. So someone wants to make, let's say they want to make jollof rice. The person just maybe some people that are in this class, you want to make jollof rice, you just pour the ingredients, put the rice, and you cover it. When you open the pot like this, the rice have done. Can anybody attest to it? Did the rice not done? It done. Another person who wants to cook jollof rice, they will first fry the oil, fry the some people will fry the onion. They will take out the onion, that okay, you just want the flavor of the onion before they start putting the paste, before they start, you understand? Then before they will now put, they'll tell you that okay, the rice has to be semi-washed, or they're using a particular type of rice. They will now put foil. They will now remove it for the rice to done. The two of them, are they not eating rice? Abi?
Absolutely.
They are eating right too.
Yeah, hey, I've already catch them. People that used to do pour everything inside the pot at once. Yeah, you're already seeing them. So yeah, the two of them have eaten rice. But let's say you want to show the effectiveness of the process that's at which that jollof rice has come. Somebody's level of effectiveness will be better. That's why we have things like SOP that says that, okay, this is the breakdown. When you want to do this particular activity, this is how you are supposed to go about it. Okay. So effectiveness is making sure that the right thing is being done, like the right process has been followed. You see, people use effectiveness and efficiency interchangeably, but from this class now, you know, there are two different things. Efficiency is doing things well, input, output. Did he achieve the purpose that he was supposed to achieve? That is efficient. Effective is, did he achieve the purpose he was supposed to achieve in the way that it was said to be achieved? Like everybody pass like an exam. So people can pass a course and maybe when they stop, then they finish the exam. If you ask them that what is internal audit, you do you qualify. Somebody stop you on the road and say, what's internal audit? You cannot answer. We are supposed to go and collect your certificates, Abby. So that's basically what we talk about effectiveness. We want that the process that gets it done is also what reliable. So those three things are called what? Value for money audit. So internal auditors are also the ones that are responsible for carrying out what? Value for money audits for an entity. Then we have review of compliance. So that's the fourth internal audit activity. So like I said, some organizations even call it what? Audit and compliance, because it is very, very important. Internal auditors review compliance with certain laws, regulations, and other external requirements, or with management policies and directives and other internal requirements. These investigations are usually called compliance audit. So that's why I was saying that for very big firms, they even have their internal auditors and a compliance team separately. Their compliance team can be filled with like lawyers, experts in that industry and all of that. So there are 4 internal audit activity. You push your audit is very, very important. They monitor the internal control, they review the accounting system, they carry out value for money audits, then they carry out what? Compliance audits. Okay? There's a place I will ask you guys. Now, exam question that I can use to ask when they just want students to pass. When they are doing giveaway, when they feel very generous, they will just ask that, what's the difference between an external audit and an internal audit? Now, you are a professional.
What's the last point? Monitor, control, review, economy, efficiency, review, compliance. There's another point again.
Yes, compliance audits, there are 4. They monitor internal control, they monitor the accounting system, they monitor the financial and operating information, not you can call the accounting system, but financial and operating information. Then they carry out value for money audits. That's the 3rd one. Then they carry out compliance audits. That's the 4th one.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I would like an exam question. So we can just read it from the table. So now you are in professional. Gone are the days where they ask you for difference between two things, and then you just draw a table and you be writing. Now, when you are answering the difference between 2 things, you're supposed to have what we call a basis. That's the 3rd part of this table, the factors, right? So that factor will help you to know what the external auditor does and what the internal auditor does. So the factors here, we're considering what is their role, who gives them their power, who appoints them, who sets their duties, and who do they report to. Okay, we can even add other bases like remuneration. So just for context, it's nothing serious. So the role, or what is the role of an external auditor? Somebody can just unmute and read what we have on our screen.
To
Hello.
express opinion on the truth and fairness of financial statements.
Yeah. So the external auditor is doing what? Expressing an opinion on the truth and the fairness of the financial statements. Everybody knows that one. What is now the role of the internal auditor? What is the role of the internal auditor?
To examine systems and controls and assess risk in order to make recommendations to management for improvement.
Thank you. So everything they are doing, they will not give that report to management. The funny thing about the way I work is that they can tell management, and management will not do anything about it. They cannot beat management. Abi? So they will carry out risk assessment, and maybe on an interval that they've decided, and then they will send a report to management. Number two, the powers of who gives what is the power of an external auditor, and or what clarifies the power of an external auditor? It is the statutes. The statutes, according to CAMA, that's where you have the rights of an external auditor. That's why I said that it is the statute. So, however, what is the power of the internal auditor? They do not have any statutory requirements. Yes. So because it is not compulsory to be done, the power of an internal auditor depends on the power that has been given to them by management. You can go to an organization and then internal audit is like a serious thing. Like if internal auditors are just there, like in banks now, I know that internal audit is a serious thing, right? There are people that are responsible for checking some particular transactions and all of that, and they can send you mail. Oh, this is what you did that was wrong and all of that. So the power that an internal auditor has in an internal audit is very dependent on the amount of power that has been given to them. Not really power, the amount of support, like backing, that they have from management. So the third one is appointments. Who appoints your external auditors? People that were in class. There are three ways, Abby. But your normal yearly external auditors, who appoints them? Shareholders, Abby? In which meeting?
At the AGM.
Exactly. So, but for your internal audits, it is not, there's no meeting. It is like actually they are filling for a position. So they are normal sending out the job placements, job advert, and all of that. That's basically what happens. The duties of external auditor is set by what statutes? CAMA is the one that sets the duties of an external auditor. However, the duties of an internal auditor is set up by what? By management. It will be there in their job description. Who does the external auditor, who do they report to? Who do they report?
The shareholders.
Shareholders.
The internal auditor, who do they report to?
Management. Internal auditor. Management.
Management. So they will do their report and send it to management, and management will decide what they want to do with their reports. Yeah. Then we have the internal audit function often has more wider role than performing financial audits in many entities. So they're just trying to say that apart, we said that the major focus of our internal audits is financial and operating information, and then checking internal control. So they said that in some international entities, like I said, this thing is not compulsory. So when an entity decides to take up internal audit, it's because it's also important for their work. So they are like in some organizations, apart from doing the normal internal audit function, there are some other aspect of internal audits, like some other types of internal audits. So they are called energy audits, social audits, environmental audits, and human resource audits. When we say energy audit, we're not talking about power. We're talking about the use of energy, making sure that their operations are energy efficient, in the spirit of being being sustainable or contributing to sustainable developments. So that's the energy that they're trying to talk about here. Then the second one is social audit. So this is talking about their social footprint. What's the social footprint? The effect that the entity is making on the society, or the impact that it has on its immediate community in which it exists in. Okay, so that's the social audit. The third one we have is environmental audit. That's like environmental footprints, like things like are they using sustainable materials? Are they encouraging recycling? Are they encouraging reducing pollution and all of that? I feel like a company that's not really like exploiting this whole recycling thing in Nigeria is like all these bottling companies. I think they should do more, right? Like imagine Coca-Cola having a campaign for if you bring back your bottles, you get drink. Do you understand? Or is it present and it is not as popularized? Because when we're talking about like their environmental footprints in this case, they're one of the reasons why we have flood issues in this country, because we drink a lot of minerals, and I say minerals, soft drink, fizzy drinks. What do you guys think?
I think we have a lot of them here. All this Ebola. I don't know if you have it in Lagos or wherever you are. But we
Yeah.
have it here, and they every time you throw out the trash, you see them, they'll run to go and pick it up because we have companies here that recycle them. They turn them into these nylons, um, paper bags, and the rest of them.
Yeah, I'm just trying to say, like, in terms of like the entity itself, like contributing to the environment, like sustainable development and all of that. You may be surprised that it exists because if you pick their audited statement now, you see things like that. Because of course, this kind of big international company, they will have that, like they will have that arm. You understand? Well, yeah, thank you very much. It just crossed my mind. That's a business. You can go and pitch, go and meet their HR on LinkedIn, do a whole strategy, a whole deck. This is when you do that now, you now send your CV. They'll call you for work. Eh? It is well. Okay, then we have human resource audit. So you can use your internal auditors to also carry out human resource audit where you are auditing your workforce, you're checking whether there's the system for recruitment, retaining, training, and development is adequate, right? Just making sure that it is like the way you are recruiting is meeting your current need and your future need. Like companies have strategies where they recruit like a lot of people doing entry level because they know that as they move up the ladder, people will leave. So like different companies have different recruitment strategy. So you can use your internal auditors to carry out this type of audit. So this one are not the types of internal audit, but I'm trying to say that other type of audits, you can call your internal auditor and say, oh, let me choose somebody's name here. You can say, oh, Michael, we want you to carry out an energy audit. Our consumption of diesel and this in the last 3 months has been all of that. Let's do a report and all of that. And then your internal auditors will do that. But you cannot call your external auditors that, oh, they come and help us to do this report. They will collect extra money and they will take it as a non-audit work. So moving on to the actual types of internal audits. If you have an example and they say types of internal audits, and the mark is 6 marks, just write only this one. But if you see that the mark is 9 marks, you can write this one and write that the other types now include energy, social, environmental, and human resource. You understand? Like I said, let your answer guide your response in an example. So based on what we have said in this class, what will be the 3 types of internal audits? It's very direct. This material, I'm not even able to write it. I'm coming. Okay. So based on what I've already said up on page 96, you can see that what would be the 3 types of audits. Number 1 is what they said, they are reviewing accounting systems. So financial audit is the first type of audit that internal auditors are responsible for. Number 2 is what? Operational audits. So finance and operational what? Finance audit, operational audit, and then the third one is what? Compliance audits. So what's finance audit? Finance audit is where the internal auditor is reviewing the accounting controls and other related controls when as it relates to what the entity's finances, but as at the level where it is management account, not that they are reviewing the audited statements. Do you guys understand? As at the time where it is still management account, before the external auditor comes in, that is when he will give a report. She gets. Can I continue? Everybody together?
Yes,
I
let's
am, ma.
together.
Can continue.
Okay, so that's financial audit. Now, for operational audit, here the internal auditor is examining the internal control procedure and whether or not the controls that have been established by management are operating effectively. So he is checking that these controls are operating effectively. Then the third one we have is compliance audits. Internal audit can be used by management as a tool to confirm that significant laws and regulations are being complied with by management. Like I said, it varies industry by industry in terms of the seriousness of this particular audit. It is very important though in some industries, but maybe people that do like general business, it may not come off fast, but anybody that is working in like industries with regulatory bodies, especially, you want to check for that. So those are the three type of audit. Like I said, we ask you 6 marks types of internal. If they ask you type of internal audit, 6 marks, just put these three. If they ask you type of internal audit, 9 marks, write these three and write that there are other types of internal audits, which is energy, environmental, social, and human resource. Okay, very good. So that is it on internal audits. This chapter is divided into two from your page 96. We have internal audits and we have outsourcing. What are the things to note from your internal audit? The definition, the reasons and importance, they are the same thing. The internal audit activities, the difference between what the external audits and the what and the internal audits. Then other types of internal audits that are not what financial, operational, or compliance. Then types of internal audit, which are the main three: financial, operational, and what and compliance. So once we move to the second part of the chapter, which is what outsourcing. Are we together? Outsourcing. So when I teach outsourcing, I like to break it down so that it is very, very simplified and students get it. Outsourcing is just, growing up when we used to have events in our families. Who used to cook? Who used to cook the food?
Olokpo.
Is it Olokpo? And you're a wealthy kid, though. So
The wives,
Caterer.
Ketra. Oh wow. I know I'm spotting people that are Apple babies here. Okay, I can see Olokpo. Somebody even said Ketra.
Yeah.
Oh, me, you were saying something.
What's
I said
Olokpo?
the Yawole, all the wives in the family, they come together and team up to cook the food.
Enemy, I was growing up. It is all the wives, so yeah, they will now be fighting. Shemope ìyàwó kíní kan kò débi by 9 o'clock. To sit at about 9 o'clock, ni gbogbo wa dé ní ṣé oúnjẹ máa jiná, àbí? But in today's age and world, if you have a event, if like on a 70% chance, somebody is having a child dedication, okay, a confession party there, junior is turning 5. Who do they call to cook in today's world?
Ketra, we assess them.
Exactly. Ketra or Max, you call an Olokpo, you buy the things, and just like the third person to cook it.
Or
So
event manager.
exactly, they will do event planner. The event planner is one that will call the vendor. Or everybody will have their vendor. They will be doing event vendors meeting. Is a whole new industry right now, right? So that's if you understand that concept, you understand outsourcing. It is just taking away an activity that you will have been responsible for and making it another person's work. Now let me because I like to use illustration a lot, because if you get this illustration, then the remaining part of the class will be an easy flow. Now, let's say imagine you now call the caterer. Abi, you have outsourced, you have called the caterer. Imagine the caterer now cooks a food that is not sweet, and then people come to your event and they're like, price is shewa koro, but this price is not sweet. Okay, we be able to say, it's not me, it's the caterer. Who is the owner of the event? Who is the owner of the event? You, right? So even if you have outsourced the work to the caterer, it doesn't remove the owner of the direct responsibility, which is you that have the party. You understand? So outsourcing is the concept of taking out a activity that will have been yours. Let's say because it is routine in nature. Let's say because you want a certain level of expertise, right, on that particular service, to another maybe a person or an entity, right? But one thing you need to note for outsourcing is that it does not take away the responsibility, the responsibility of that particular activity. So you cannot come and tell, let's say you outsource your payroll, somebody is responsible for paying your staff, all the deductions and everything, and then government now wants to find you that you are not removing the right deduction, you're not filing properly and everything like that. You cannot tell governments that it's not me, it's not me, me, I gave it to another person to come and do. Who is the owner of the entity? You understand? So that is just the bit of twist that comes with what outsourcing. So let's read. Outsourcing by a company means arranging for an external entity to perform a task that would have been performed by a company's own staff. It usually tend to routine or repetitive procedures or operations. So let's say a company is like a manufacturing company, they have other problems to think about. They're like, we don't even want to think about this whole payroll thing. Let's just outsource it. You understand? We don't want to think about this whole internal audit thing. Let's just outsource it, right? So that's an example. You use it for like things that are routine or are repetitive, or things that require a certain level of what expertise. Now, outsourcing of work to external suppliers and service organization is a common practice. What are the examples of work that may be outsourced? I want us to unmute and read together. Number one is what? Exam question.
Payroll,
Payroll. Number two,
internal
internal.
auditing,
Number three, financial.
financial and management accounting services,
Number four, IT
IT
service.
services,
Five, work
taxation,
compliance or tax consultancy. Maybe anybody that works with the big four here, you know that these are the kind of things. This is why a lot of the big fours have food on their table, right? Then we have what due diligence. So due diligence is when there are cases of like merger and acquisition. You want to buy a company, you want to merge with a company, and you want like their books to be basically analyzed and making sure that you are making a good deal with deciding to merge with them, or you are making a good deal by deciding to acquire them. Yeah, and that your purchase consideration is the right amount. People are FR and strategic business reporting. Abi CBR, that's what it's called now. So you are those students, so you should know about all those things, mergers and acquisitions. Then, what are the work that you can outsource? Non-financial service, such as what? Catering, cleaning, motor vehicle fleets, and staff recruitment and selection. Yes, people outsource their recruitments. They've gone that some organization, when they are recruiting for senior roles, they like to outsource it to like companies that what they do specifically is recruitment. Now, they said a problem for auditors, internal and external, is that when the work is outsourced, they need to satisfy themselves that the external agency is performing the work properly. So now that's the thing. When something is your own, you can decide how you can see you because of that level of responsibility, right? You can control the way you want it to be worked on. But you can give an olokpo. Olokpo come to your house, she don't wash the meat, she put it, say the flavor of the red oil of the blood too is important in the meat. But if you know that okay, this thing people in my family don't like it, you would take an extra level of care. So that's the same thing that when an external auditor comes and he sees that a particular service was being outsourced, he needs to get like enough support documentation to be able to show that yes, this work was carried out with the level of care and the level of intentionality that it should have been carried out if it was not an outsourced function. Okay? So, exam questions. Advantages of outsourcing. What are the advantages of outsourcing? My system is writing that Windows did not start properly and then it shuts down.
please force it to start. Like
After the start,
force it so that
just after the start.
Like I should press the power button down for a long time, right?
Yes.
Thank you. But let's continue the class. So advantages. Just think about the whole local situation and give me all the advantages. Number one,
It is stress-free and it saves time.
it is stress-free and it saves time. On a long it takes away the stress from management. And that's 2 points I have calculated inside one. It can be stress-free, relatively stress-free, and it saves time because management can spend that time focusing on like their core business activity. Okay, thank you. Another one. Sometimes it can be cost saving, right? Those people know where to get it at a subsidized rate, right? And let's say, for example, if you don't call caterer, if you call Olokpo, you can save money because the woman has gone to the market, she has gone to get the rice from the patch, she has gone to get the pepper from my 12. And if you were the one that went, you'd have just gone to buy the pepper from where there's Ebano, right? And the pepper would not be enough. But because that person that is the work they do, it sometimes may relatively save a level of cost. Let's say, for example, like now, if you decide to outsource your internal audit department to like the Big Four, the Big Four have already trained people. These people have done like internal auditors for some organizations before. So they already know the things to look out for. But let's say if you want to establish an internal audit department, you have to look for an office space. You have to get like work tools, the table, the chair, the laptop, and everything for that person. You have to factor in the person's recruitment costs into your own cost. If the company is doing retreats, you factor in the person. You understand? If they are doing a share of profit, you factor in the person. So all the one that they will use to factor in all the staff members for that internal audit department, they rather want to go and save that cost and just do what? Engage somebody, an entity that's already carrying out that service of the internal audits. Do you guys get? Another reason is that the skill, right? The skill and expertise. The skill and expertise. That person has been doing the work for long. Olokwo, they will come. Olokwo used to use the cover of pots to fry meat. They will turn the cover of the pot side the fire, happy, and they'll be frying the meat. They'll fry the meat from the cover of the pot. If it is you, you may not know about all these things that may be important, right? They'll come, they'll boil the meat, then they'll use the stock to like do different food because they already know what they need. So the level of expertise that that person, hey God, you people, the system came on and just went off again. Technology.
Battery, okay. The battery, is it okay?
No. In recent time, it has been dying on time.
You have to put it on that charge. I mean, you have to connect it, then
Oh,
start it. You understand?
yeah.
It might be the battery.
Okay. Thank you. Great. Okay, thank you. I'll talk to the tech. Okay. So like I said, those people, the skills and the expertise. Thank you very much for the support. That's the outsourced company already has. You may be able to benefit from it. Next one is access to up-to-date technologies. Like I said, I look at the ones that make this whole gas thing, that whole burner thing popular because they need to cook and they need to make it fast and all of that. Then we have that management might be able to they'll be able to focus their time and effort, like what to say that it saves time, focus their time and effort on core activities, and not spending much time on like outsourced activity. So we think, but if anybody here has maybe outsourced an activity for their entity and you know that the follow-up too, if you go and choose a wrong person, you will just be suffering. So that takes us to disadvantages of outsourcing. I want one person to read for us and then we'll just discuss it one by one. I'm with you. Yeah, disadvantages.
Okay, I'll read.
Yeah.
If the work is not properly specified, the service provider may fail to do everything that the entity requires it to do. That's number one. Secondly, timeliness of the service provider to deliver the outsourced service. For example, when payroll operations are outsourced. Thirdly, there may be problems with negotiating an appropriate fee for the work with the service provider. Number four, management needs to ensure that the service provider gives the organization an appropriate level of priority and customer care. That means that management must carry out regular reviews of the service level and service quality provided.
Okay, thank you. So number one, it is very hard to communicate a responsibility. You understand? You are the one that know what you want to achieve. You are like, okay, this is what I want to achieve. If you don't communicate what you want to achieve, sometimes it can be hard to sell a dream to an outsourced person because that person is just looking at profit. That is a business for that person. Abi, they're looking at profitability, they just want to make money and continue moving on with their own life, right? But for you, you understand that okay, I have a dream, I have a vision. If the work is not properly communicated, the person that's outsourcing the service may not be clear on what they need to do. Number two is that timeliness. Like now, why is it that in recent time freelance jobs has become very popular? It's because people want to be able to control that. Okay, just give me the tax. I'll work in the midnight, Abi, and deliver it to you. But if that person is in your office, that person is your staff. So when they get to work by 9 a.m., they tell you that, oh, I don't want to work today. I'll send it to you by 5 p.m. You'll be looking at it that, me that I on gen for you to be working. You're telling me that you give it to me by 5 p.m. So timeliness is also a serious issue. And that's even why, like you see that even in the tech space, people that I work with, like corporate organizations, they are not a lot because they still have all those back and forths. Tech guys want to work at their own pace and all of that, but institutions like banks, institutions like multinationals, they cannot afford that kind of luxury. You understand? Because timeliness is also important for them. The third one is that there may be problems with negotiating an appropriate fee. There may be problems negotiating an appropriate fee for the work with the service provider. So, yes, sometimes it saves cost too, but a lot of times the mental gymnastic of the price, when they first come, they'll first tell you amounts that say, even if I go and set up this department, I will not spend this much. And then you people will now start negotiating. Sometimes the amount of funds and all of that they use to negotiate, or maybe sometimes they can do what you people discussed in practice management. Abi, they can do all this low balling. So what's the meaning of low balling? What's the meaning of low balling?
Bidding at low price.
With the hope that when you continue to provide other services, you now start increasing the price, or with time you increase the price and you carry out other services and be able to match up with that price. So thank you. So they can lure you in with low balling. You now say, okay, but this is not what we wanted. And I say at that particular service, you need to pay more. You need to pay more. Before you know, you're already paying much more than you would have paid if you even go and set up the party by yourself. So yeah, thank you. Also, management needs to ensure that service provider gives the organization an appropriate level of priority and customer care. Yes, that's how you now get there and realize that when they were there during the testing period, they called their best staff. The guy was responding to you, but they not tell you that the guy is resigning next week. Then the guy will now resign. They will now carry somebody that just started and give you. You just be stressing yourself. So you have seen a lot of cases when it comes to outsourcing. Yeah. So this means that management.
There's still breach of confidentiality, as the information will not be confidential again.
Yes, that's the thing. The moment you outsource, this is a very, very, very good point. The moment you outsource, you have sold out yourself to the general public. Not general public in code, because sometimes you have to sign NDAs and all of that. But the moment the information is no longer with you, Abby, there's already a risks involved of that information being divulged to other parties. Yeah, that's a very, very important point. Very, very important point. That's a very, very important disadvantage of what? Of outsourcing. Thank you. So, like I said, if you're in exam mode and you cannot think about this, just look at the practical example of the whole local thing and use it for at least that one will help you to score like 8 marks. This is a very it's not a question that comes out every now and then, but when it comes out, ICAN is just using it to do giveaway. And let the student just pass. Okay, outsourcing the internal audit function. So this is why we got to this chapter. This is why outsourcing is in this chapter. Now, some entities outsource the work of the internal audit function. When this happens, the service provider is often an accounting firm that provides the entity with its external audit services. So it is like they want to have an internal audit department, but they don't want to set up the internal audit department in their own entity. So they do what? They outsource it. What are the functions? Number one, the accounting firm must have a greater level of independence than the entity's own internal audit staff. So they're just trying to say that what are the factors? Now they're saying we don't want to let's say, let me use an example of somebody's name now. I think I can see one or that's consulting or something. Person has dropped off. Yes, that's correct, Abby. Ads consulting. So ads consulting now wants to set up an internal audit department. What are the factors that he will consider if he's saying that we don't want to set this thing up by ourselves? We want to go and give it an audit firm or an accounting firm in this case. Number one, that accounting firm must have a greater level of independence than others has, because that's the essence why you are outsourcing it to them. Number two, you must have the accounting firm must have what? Highly trained personnel, specialists that can carry out that work. Number three, the accounting firm must have greater number of employees that will be available for the internal audit assignments. So if others do not want to just employ one person and then the work is too much on one person, that audit firm must be able to give others more than one person to work on that engagement. Then professional codes and standards and behaviors that should regulate the activities of the accounting firm, which might not be the case if he's setting up the firm. So he should be able to say that, okay, this person, if I'm working with an accounting firm, they're going to give me a professional that is liable under the law to act in a certain way. Then we have professional code of conduct and standard of behavior will regulate the accounting firm. This might not be the case in internal audit departments, like I said. Then the last one is that the accounting firm may be sued for breach of contract for negligence and should have professional indemnity insurance. What's professional indemnity insurance? You guys have talked about it. We talked about it in audit professional liability now, like insurance, but for accounting firms, they pay a premium so that in the case of any liability arising, they can use the premium to satisfy or to, I think not satisfy, fulfill the obligation that arise. So trying to say that another reason why others will want to consider outsourcing it is because, okay, if these guys do anything that is fraud, that is wrong, I can take them to court and they will be liable. Okay, so those are the factors that you should consider before outsourcing what your internal audit function to who? To an accounting firm. Okay. Now, what are now the disadvantages of outsourcing your internal audit function to an accounting firm? They are very similar to what we first said earlier. But number one, the firms are not under control. Like you cannot, the level of control is lesser when you give it to a professional firm. Number two is that the fees are relatively high because this person will tell you that I'm a professional, you have done this back and back again, we can't be collecting small money, and then you're just looking at it that how important is this thing that I even want to outsource that I'm spending this amount of money? Then we have number three, professional firms may not have the same level of detailed knowledge of the entity like an in-house person. Especially with the way internal audit is, you are doing operational audit as well. So operational audit is supposed to be a day-to-day thing. And that's why you have like when people are on secondments, they usually need to go to like the client site and like work from there because you need a level of closeness, not really closeness, but to be able to get sufficient knowledge of the client's business activity. Then we have that there may be threat to independence of the external audit where the firm acts as both the internal auditors and the external. And we see this one is happening. Max will tell you that it's a particular division, Big Four, that does that. But yes, organizations do it. They'll use a particular Big Four for their internal audits, and they'll use that same Big Four for their external audits. So it already poses a risk. You understand? So those are the disadvantages of outsourcing your internal audit function to an accounting firm. Now, this one is a very, very important subject. This one we're talking about where the auditor has been engaged by a client for audits, and he has seen that a particular service was outsourced. And from his evaluation, that service is important or is material to the overall evaluation of the financial statements. There are some considerations, there are some issues for the auditor to consider before he can rely on the information, or before he can rely on the information that has been provided. Let me just read it. The auditor is engaged by the audit client, and has no contractual relationship with the service organization. However, the auditor may need to obtain audit evidence from the service. The auditor may need to obtain audit evidence from the service organization. Clearly, it is important that if the service organization controls any accounting information of the client, the contractual relationship between the audit client and the service organization should include an obligation for the service organization to provide the auditor with all the information they require. All this plenty English we are speaking here is just to say that, let's say, for example, Deloitte has signed and engagements with Dangote, right, to carry out their audits. Dangote has outsourced their payroll to Seamless HR. You guys know Seamless HR, right? Let me just continue. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Well, you know Seamless HR, right?
Yes.
Yes.
So Dangote has outsourced their payroll to Seamless HR. They are saying that even if Deloitte does not have any contractual relationship with Seamless HR, and in normal case, you say, okay, you're coming to Dangote, focus on your Dangote and move on. Because of the financial implication of Dangote's relationship with Seamless HR, that Deloitte needs to make sure that Seamless HR is able to provide them with all the information they require for them to be able to carry out the work that they are doing, you understand, with Dangote. Now, what are the issues that the auditor should consider? Number one, it should check the materiality of the outsourced function. Like if we're using payroll in this case, payroll is in a lot of cases material, right? So they need to be able to make sure that all the sufficient and appropriate audit evidence. I think you guys have started on the audit evidence sorry, I talk really fast. I think you guys have started audit evidence with Mr. Desalu already, right? So sufficiency of audit evidence relates to the quantity of the audit evidence, and appropriateness relates to the quality. All like now, quality is like the offer letter, things like that. If there was any salary advance, all the required documentation, make sure that's available. Number two is accessibility to record. Is like after you consider the materiality, I think I already explained this one with the other points, but it's important to assess all relevant records that they are available, and the auditor should discuss with the service organization the arrangements for obtaining the information. So they are going to choose like a suitable communication channel that works for the both of them. Then we have the third one, control risks. The auditor will need to make an assessment of the control risks in the outsourced operation. A system audit will be possible only if the auditor is satisfied that the control system in the service organization, or only if the auditor is satisfied with the control system in the service organization. Otherwise, substantive audit procedure will be needed. Like they're trying to say that in a way, so you're going to have to audit the control of that Seamless HR. You want to check the strength of their IT systems. If they're using IT systems, you want to check, do like a similitude of transaction processing to be sure that it does not come up with error, and basically to prove the correctness of the figures that they have used to process the payroll in the previous financial year. So you can see it's more like you have collected work with Dangote, but you may have to work hand in hand with Seamless HR because they've signed an outsourced function, or they've outsourced a function to the Seamless HR. So next one is compliance. So you also check that Seamless HR is compliant with all the regulatory framework, taxation, deduction. Let's say, as I'm talking about payroll now, taxation, deduction, that even Seamless HR is properly registered. All those things are your responsibility. Like in this case, the external auditor's responsibility. So they're trying to say that you are also the function. Yes, he will have to go and meet Seamless HR, but let's continue. Let me not jump. The last one I'll talk about is transfer of information. You have to make sure that there is a procedure for transfer of files, all the files that you need to be able to work. There's a procedure for the transfer of files. So, you guys, it shows recovery. It looks like the Windows didn't load correctly. If you would like to restart again, choose restart my PC. Otherwise, see advanced repair options. Okay, let me just continue. So you have to make sure that you have properly communicated how you intend to transfer all the information that you need. Okay, all the information that you need and the method of transfer that is reliable. Do you guys want to use a drive that everybody will be able to access it, or do you want to send them a zip file? Is there an offline document you want to share? Just basically communicating how the information that is needed will be transferred. Okay? Now, ICAN is very sweet. They said, if you are asked an exam question, can you guys see that? Please go to page 99. You can scroll. Yeah. If you are asked in an exam question to comment on an outsourcing function, remember to think specifically of the relevant function you are being asked about. Like now, if you notice these issues to consider, they answered it based on a payroll. So if they're telling you that what they outsourced is IT, materiality, you should say, consider the materiality of the outsourced IT function. You understand? Access to record. Consider the availability or the access to record of the outsourced IT. You're just making sure that you are answering that question using the particular service that was being outsourced. She gets. So they're saying say that so your exam question can come from logistics. Okay, then now there's a thing that you should think about different factors. Example, the factor you're thinking about is logistics issues, confidentiality of information. I think somebody already raised that. The speed of technological advancement in that area. So like now, even if you are saying that okay, you want to go and set up the function by yourself, if that industry is an industry that speeds up really quickly, if you go and get a tool now, and you say you want to set up the function, and then in the next 6 months there's already a bigger tool, right? Other people would rather outsource like their whole communications, PR, because if there's a better gear, it is not your own responsibility to go and buy that gear. It is the company that you have outsourced the function to that has to go and look for money to buy that gear. Then the responsibility of the function. For example, directors will still be legally responsible to ensure that proper accounting records are kept, even if they are. So that's what I'm saying. Somebody, I think there was one guy where they asked them that, what part of your work of management cannot be outsourced, and that is responsibility. Management cannot outsource the responsibility that they have to carry out a particular what function. Okay. Yeah. So we have ISA 402, audit considerations when relating to a service organization. Okay. So basically, it's what we already said up. The moment you as an auditor comes into an entity and you have seen that a particular service was being outsourced, what do you do? Number one, make sure you obtain an understanding of the nature of the service that has been outsourced, the material effect of the service. The materiality will help you to not go and be putting Ishama care on something that is not like relevant in the grand scheme of the FS. So understanding the material, obtaining an understanding. Right? So it's the audit procedure for anything as an auditor. The first thing is to obtain an understanding why you were not there. Happy is audit that you came to do. What do you know about them? Do you know how they have been doing their thing? So obtain an understanding of the activity and basically understand the effects of the internal control and make sure that you are able to sufficiently identify the risks that is involved in that particular outsourced function. If the auditor is unable to obtain sufficient understanding from the clients, then it should use one or more of the following procedures. Either he obtains a type 1 or type 2 report. So we'll explain the meaning of a type 1 and type 2 reports below. Or he contacts the service organization. Dear Seamless, we are the auditors for Deloitte, blah, blah, blah. Dear Seamless, we are the auditors for Dangote. And we need some particular information to be able to carry out the audit, seeing that you're the one that processed their payroll. Right? Then number 3 is you can use other procedures just to be able to carry out the work and to be able to generate the audit evidences that you need to be able to carry out the work. Now, what is a type 1 and type 2 reports? Now, if the auditor is able to obtain sufficient understanding from the clients, then he will need to request for a type 1 or a type 2 report. Now, what's the type 1 report? Okay, so what's a type 1 report? A type 1 report is I I didn't explain it. Now, okay, to be able to, if you're not able to obtain sufficient information, number one, you obtain type 1 and type 2 reports. Number two, that's one I just explained, you contact the service organization. Number three, they did not still answer you after you contacted them. You visit the service organization. Then number four, you will now use other procedures that are not that's mean like that's maybe you go and tell management that these people that you contacted, they're not responding to us, and we are going to count it that you're responsible for that particular function. Then we have, so I was not explaining what type 1 report is. Now, a type 1 report, I'll just read what we have here. It's a description of the service organization's system, their control objectives, the controls that are available as at the specific dates, prepared by management of that service organization. So it's like a overall booklet of, like, seniors just give you a overall booklet of what their controls, what they put in place to just make sure that the work they carried out for Dangote is intact. It is like a generic internal control document. You understand? That's the type 1 report. However, a type 2 report, okay, now a reasonable assurance report on the above description or the suitability of the controls to achieve a specific control objective prepared by an auditor instructed by the service organization. So they can also give you their own audit reports that shows the state of their internal control as well. That is what comes with a type 1 report. It's just a report of description of their system or a reasonable assurance report by another independent auditor, but on seamless HR. Do you get? Now, a type 2 report, however, is now a more detailed report than your type 1 report. A type 2 report contains control objectives and controls at a specific date. So this one, it will be like, as of 15th of December, this is where we were with this particular control. You understand? It is a more detailed report than your type 1 reports. It does not only give a theoretical, it's not like I don't know if you guys have said you're done there's no internal control in AAA, it's in skills. But internal control, one of the ways you can report internal control is what we call narrative notes. And then we have system flow charts. So your system flow chart, you are putting the breakdown. This is how we work. This person reports to this person reports to this person. This is the limit of this person. So it is a more detailed, report over a specific period that gives an insight into the operational effectiveness of the internal control in that period. This report will now give the service auditor's opinion. That means the seamless HR auditor's opinion on the control as of that entity. So basically, you just need somebody to rectify that. Yes, even the people that we outsource this function to have their internal control in place as well. So that's like the first step, when you're not able to obtain sufficient information about that service entity, you ask for a type 1 or a type 2 report. So if you're not able to get that, that's when you contact service organization by yourself. If you're not able to get that, you visit the service organization, or you do what? You use other form of what? Audit procedures. Okay?
Hello.
So, yes, I can hear you.
This type 1 report, who is supposed to write it? Is it the service organization or the external auditor? And would there
So
be
the two reports are coming from the service organization. It is about their own internal control, not your client's internal control. That's why I was in seamless. So it is seamless internal control. That's what the report will be about. You are auditing your client. Your client has engaged the service organization. So the type 1 and type 2 reports is from that service organization. Do you get it?
Okay.
So we have about 30 minutes. Let's just go through a few past questions. So please, somebody should open November 2022 question 6 for us. So I'll put the questions, the times they've tested it on the group. So someone should put November 2022 question 6. I'm coming. So we have another time. Let me just put the questions on the group. Past questions on November 20. Somebody opening November 2022. The compilation of the past question is on the group. Do you have it?
I'm checking.
Okay.
I know I have it somewhere, but I can't remember.
Let me try and reply the past question so that you can see it again. Thank you so much for your support. My system is just here restarting. Then we have November 2024 questions. I'm coming.
Just that I have mine in hard copy, that's why.
Okay, I'm sharing it on the group again now.
Okay. Okay. Open it.
Yes, please. You are doing November 2022 question 6.
Should I open it?
Yes.
Okay.
But I'm opening it here. I already have it here. You can just open it so that the class can see it.
Okay.
Yeah, questions.
It's November. What's coming? November 2022. Okay.
So question 6. So it says, should I read? Do they have it? Let me just screenshot the question on the group. So
Please read it. We have it on our screen already.
Okay. The internal audit of Olivia Bank Limited has been accused of collusion with staff in communicating a fraud. The following types of fraud were found to be common: check suppression, fraudulent bookkeeping to overstate income and inflation of the worth of the company's assets, intercepting replaced customers' cards, fraudsters impersonating senior managers or chief executive officer, online banking fraud such as phishing, malware attacks, and clone websites, impersonating owner of an account or using fake documents to open accounts under someone's name. No proper know your customer conducted (KYC). The bank examiners came and were surprised at the level of fraud in the bank and has requested management to do something about it urgently. After the supervisory unit, the board of directors discussed the issue with the bank's external auditors, who suggested that the bank can outsource the internal audit function. The board of directors looked at the suggestion as being better and mandated the managing director to act fast and give details of this at the next board meeting. The managing director has requested your firm to write a report to enable him forward to the issue to enable forward the issue to the board of directors. Number one, discuss the main reasons for outsourcing internal control. 3 marks. Outline disadvantages and advantages, 10 marks. You can see. Then which part of the internal audit function cannot be outsourced, 2 marks. Is this a hard question? That's where I should start from. Is it hard at all?
Oh,
Yeah, so first of all, let me ask, what is the part of your internal audit that you cannot outsource?
Responsibility of
management responsibilities.
Yeah, okay. As it relates to that particular function that has been outsourced. Thank you. Yeah, so I think the other ones are direct now. Advantages are direct and disadvantages are direct, 10 marks. And yeah, so let's check one more diet. Or do we want to go back to the material to look at the answers again? They are there. The reasons are there now. That's the first subheading. The first subheading of your material. You can confirm. Is there, right?
Yeah, it's there, but sometimes the way these people will not answer the question will not look like somebody did not know what you're writing.
This is even a 3 marks question. So there's no twist and turns here. It is direct. Like you see, they only come out 3 times. These are the 3 times that's come out. They only used to put it so that student can pass. It's not a frequent chapter question in your exam. You can do a diet and not see it in a lot of cases. Do you guys get me? Okay, so let's check November 2024 questions. See, let me tell you something. What used to happen to students is they have left class now. Somebody has said, oh, I know it. It's not this thing. I know it. What you should do as your own responsibility is that, okay, I know this thing. Write it down. Take a book. Answer that question in that book. Write out the answers that you have said you got from this class. Just write it down. Because me, I cannot say it because I've already shared the material with you, to you. But what you should do is to try and write out the answers on your own. That, okay, I think I know this thing in my head, but do I know it? Can I write it down? Can I communicate this response to somebody else? So November 2024 question 2. So
Is that question 2?
yeah, it's not everything, but
Okay.
I'm sending the question to the group.
The managing director of Zisco PLC has approached his colleagues in a social club to recommend a firm of chartered accountants to be appointed as auditor of the company. Zisco PLC is a multi-billion naira company and newly incorporated, but has interest in various sectors of the economy. Your firm was mentioned because of the confidence, yeah, because of this. Sorry, your firm was mentioned because of the confidence this social colleague has in your firm. A call was put to you, a call was put to your managing partner, MP, and the discussion settled for a formal meeting with the MD in your managing partner's office. Your MP has directed that you sit in during the discussion and take notes for him.
Okay.
During the discussion, as part of gaining an understanding of the business information system of the company, including its accounting system, you noted that the company imports breakdown components of a brand of electric generators, and assembles the generator locally. The company also operates a warehousing facility for self-use and lease to other organizations. It also imports finished milk produce which are packaged locally. The company is about 10 months old and is planning to prepare a 15-month account to correspond to December 31, which is chosen as its year end. In addition to the financial information provided by the managing director, you gathered the present Zisco PLC may not be one optimizing the use of its input, such as energy purchase, complying with relevant local government laws, including environmental laws, and applying best practices in recruiting, training, and utilizing its human resource. You will be involved in the first audit, which necessitated your involvement in the meeting between the two chief executives. You will also develop the necessary audit program to suit the new client required.
Hmm?
8. Develop the key controls that are necessary in such a scenario as this to ascertain the revenue and receivable of these clients. Okay. B. State the components of the information system that the auditor should focus on in identifying and understanding the processing method, accounting
Yeah.
records, and processes used in preparing the financial statement in accordance with the terms of ISA 315, identifying and assessing the risk of material misstatement through understanding the entity and its environment. C. Discuss the non-financial control that the internal auditor of this company would be advised to focus on. And D. Prepare the schedule of duties and responsibilities of audit committee that will be reviewed during the audit to ensure compliance with the code of corporate governance. They never teach us this one.
Proceeds to say that Christiana girl, she's not, I don't even know what she did. I don't even know what she taught us that she said this part though, this
Question
one is not
C,
part. This is
the
what
requirement C is there.
is where
Requirement C, you taught us right now.
ah God we help us. So number one, now first of all, I just want to tell you that if you go to the answer of this question, what they've written down is different from what we're even talking about in this class. But we're going to answer the
Talk am.
question regardless. Um, yeah.
I
So
said it.
now, okay. So now they said develop key controls that are necessary in this scenario to ascertain the revenue and receivables of these clients. Okay. Yes, now that's what they asked us, right?
Yes.
So key controls in this case, they are supposed to be an outline of activities. Abi, authorization and approval, personnel control. I feel like in this case, you should be able to use Papa Mosas to answer the question, explaining how when you have segregation of duty, you understand, one person is not in charge of receiving of doing the sale and recording it. You understand? Like you are using your Papa Mosas and you're talking about how all these key controls will make sure that the revenue and receivable figure is no. This is not the case. You people are coming in as the external auditor, right? You are coming as an external auditor. So key controls to ascertain the revenue figure is your CVOP-C. CVOP-C in audit evidence, completeness, evidence. Have you guys done CVOP-C in your audit evidence? Checking the completeness of the transaction, the existence, the accuracy, the valuation, the occurrence, the presentation.
Can you spell the CVOC?
Because, no, I'm just looking at the best way to answer this question. But what are you thinking it is? To ascertain the revenue and receivable of the clients. And in this case, you people are the external, you are the firm that they want to come and, no, it's not CVOP-C. You are the firm that they want to engage. Is it for internal audits? Wait.
It's external audits.
From their answer, you've said it earlier, it's even correct. Segregation of duties, checking the customer's order with customer's credit limit, authorization orders, using pre-numbered sales forms.
So in this case now, if you're asking for key controls, you can use Papa Mosas to answer this question. Now, the problem students have with AAA, not students, is a general thing, is that when you get to AAA, they try to avoid students using what they cram to answer the question. Somebody can use that CVOP-C that I just said to answer this question and be correct. Because, we talked about segregation of duty. But if you're using CVOP-C to check completeness, check the existence, check the occurrence, do you know it's also correct? To be able to prove the receivable figure. Do you know it's also correct? But
Yes.
if you go to your type of internal control too, it's also correct. If you're using CVOP-C, it means you are standing on the point that this company has been engaged on an external audit basis. So they are not the ones that are responsible for control anymore. You understand? But this question now, what they've done is they were talking in the question, they were talking about it in context of external audits, but they came to the requirement and they're asking you the question in form of an internal audit. So that is why Papa Mosas is looking appropriate in this case. So what I will say is nobody brings this answer from heaven. The answer at the back of this question was provided by a center. They reach out to centers. The ICAN does not put the actual syllabus like they are marking out there. So it's provided by a center. Somebody might have been in this exam hall and not write what they wrote in the back and also pass the exam. You just need to be confident about what you have written down and explain your point to a 2 years old that this is the reason why I've written this down in this format. And you'll still be correct with your points. So I wish I can come and tell you what exactly to write in this case, but the best answer to this 6 marks question so that you will not be confused is Papa Mosas. Papa Mosas is the key control. Now, if you break down your personnel control, all those controls one by one, and you relate it with receivables and revenue, that should give you this 6 marks question. Do you get?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
So let's look at B. What do we have in B? They said we should state the component of the information system that the auditor should focus on when identifying and understanding the processes, the accounting records that are used in preparing the financial statements. What should it be focused on? Somebody is like, they're asking you, you're asking me. What What should it be focused? See this question. You will look for it there in the pack. Okay. So what should it be focused on? Now, this one now, they've gone to take the answer from CREAM. You know CREAM now, control environment, control objective, risk management, information system, and monitoring and controls. So what should it be focused on? According to ISA 315.
I think the financial reporting framework for the business.
So let's break down the question. They are saying that how can the auditor know about the client? That's where this question is coming from. Abby? Yes. The question is
Yes.
asking that how can the auditor know about the clients? Yes, now. State the component of the information system that the auditor should focus on in terms of understanding their processes, their records. So, yes. So, the answer is all those industry standard publications, reports about the industry, their competitors' records as well, the entity's financial statements, long time record, like their memorandum of association, their article of association. Yes. Those are the components of the information system that the auditor should focus on. 5 marks. So he has to understand the entity and its environment to now be able to, in this case, give them advice. So this answer now is coming from audit planning. These 5 marks. You can see if you go to the back, I don't even know what they put in this answer. That is not the answer.
The entity's principal's business
Yeah.
transaction.
Uh-huh.
How this transaction and other events relevant to financial reporting processes are captured.
Yeah. Is
The
that what
process, yes, the processing method, both manual and electronic, apply to those transactions. The
Yeah.
accounting record used, both manual and electronic. The process is used in the preparation of financial statements, and then the information technology.
Yeah. So you can see. So this answer is coming from audit planning, knowing about the entity. That's where this question is coming from. Now they've put under internal control and outsourcing. You can see that the question is actually a mix of different things. So AAA is not a course that you go into the exam or you select chapter that you want to know and the one you don't want to know. Students to see this, you are really destabilized. Guess what? From this A and B we have answered, have we used the question at all? No. That's another weak point that we see. Somebody is saying that, but it is a case study. Abi, we should use the case study for the question. Can you see? 3, discuss the non-financial controls that the internal auditor of this company will be advised to focus on. This answer is still stemming from your Papa Mosas. Do you know? What's the answer? But it is still about your control in A. So here, from what he outlined here, we can see that so they can say optimizing the use of its inputs, compliance with laws, Abi, applying best practice in recruitment. So this non-financial control is looking like energy audits. What do you call that one? You guys remember energy, environmental, social,
Audit.
and human.
Social audit, human
Yes.
resource audit.
So that's what this girl was saying that I taught you people this see. They don't they rush, they do AAA. You need to calm. You
They
need
don't
to
teach us
calm.
well.
Eh?
Imagine, if not that we are seeing it now, it looks like they didn't teach us in the first place at all. My
Yeah,
God, what kind of question is this one?
when we first read the question, somebody said, I not just this one though. Abi, it is not. I'm not going to come and tell you that, oh, it is easy. Even me, that is the tutor. I think it's a recent diet, so I'm not taking it. I'm taking November 2022 in other classes, but I've not taken this question before in other classes. But that's one thing I know. In recent times, you need to calm down with your AAA question. Calm down very well. This is a 3 marks question. That Go and check. What's the answer? Is that the answer?
Yes, those are the things we just mentioned: energy audit, social audit, environmental audit, and human resource audit.
You people need to pay me extra because this is a very. But I'm just trying to say that like nobody brought this knowledge from heaven. The way you can familiarize yourself with it is practicing past question. Now you have seen it. If you go into your own diet and you see non-financial controls, you not just show yourself, you already know that okay, this is what we said that those things were. So and now, do you know in this question, anybody that fails A will fail C. Do you know? Anybody that fails A will fail C automatically.
Woefully, sir.
And guess what? We have not still used case study. But you see that this case study was important because that place that they wrote optimizing the use of its inputs, complying relevant regulation, and the recruitment was what gave us the answer to C. Do you know? So technically, we use the case study. Voila for who wants chatted.
Go pass this ICAN paper.
Okay, then last one. Prepare the schedule of the duties and responsibility of audit committee that will be reviewed during the audit session. So this one is just chapter 1. They went back chapter 1. No, chapter 2, regulatory framework. Duty of your audit committee. What does the audit committee do? They're the ones that are responsible for what's remuneration, Abby, of the auditor. They work hand in hand with the auditor to provide all the information that he needs, Abby, to conduct the audit. This one is just duties and responsibility of the audit committee. 6 marks, right? That's what is in the answer. Maybe that's what is there. I'm working from the WhatsApp image.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's true.
So now, let me now be very realistic because I like to be realistic. Now, this kind of question, it is a 20 marks question, but it is not a question you go into hoping that you score 20. I always like to tell students this because most students, they'll say, okay, if I don't know this question 20 marks, I don't want to answer it at all. You are a professional. ICAN will not come and give you question that you just sit down. A for apple, B for ball. No, you understand? Goal is to pass, at least at a minimum. It's when you pass that you will win prize. If you don't pass, you cannot win prize. You understand? So this kind of question, you sit down with yourself. Do I know these 6 marks? These key controls. You know, you can even use okay, if I want to confirm receivable, what can I do? Check the sales record. Segregate the person that is receiving the money. Think about the normal supermarkets. How can we confirm receivable figure? If it's only 3 marks you can get instead of 6 marks, hold on to it. When you go to this question 5, you understand? Just we call it also for mark. Enter the all and say that I'm not coming back to this AA again. Either me or this AA, one of us must defeat each other, and it is me that will defeat AA. So don't say that, okay, I don't know this question. Because I don't know the 20 marks, I will not bother answering it at all. If there's anything that you need to learn, okay? So our time is fast spent. I don't know if anybody has any. Yeah. If you have any question, just let me know.
Hello, ma.
Yeah, I can hear you.
So I asked for the meaning of Papa Musa in the chat box. Probably I missed the class where it was taught. I don't know.
But I responded to you now, ma. Can somebody
Really?
responded to her, like on the call? So let me just say it again. But I already answered on the call. Somebody can just confirm that I answered when I saw the chat. Anyway, Papa Mosas is the type of internal control you have. Okay, P is your physical control. A is your arithmetic and arithmetic control. P is your personnel. O is organizational control. M is management control. S is segregation of duty. A is I think I said authorization. So acknowledgement of performance. S is supervisory control, and they can even put B. Papa must as B. So B is budgetary controls. So those are the types of internal control that we have. To be able to listen to that, like the meaning, you have to go to the audit approach class. There were 2 classes on audit approach. The second class, that's where we talked about it in detail. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Yeah.
Hello, ma.
Yes, I hear you.
Yes, ma. I just want to confirm if we are going to have access to the recording class because I missed the class some area.
Yes, this class is being recorded. So yeah, the management will share it with you. Okay, what is Seamless? Okay, Seamless is a software. It's like, you know how you have your Microsoft now. It's a Nigerian own. I don't know Nigeria. It's a Nigerian own software. It's called Seamless HR. They do like the whole management, like the whole HR process. But it's now so you can book your leave online. Your staff can get their pay slips and all of that online. Minister of Finance, do you get? So it's just like how will I explain now? It's just like Outlook. It's just like a app. You understand? So companies engage them to do their payroll. Companies engage them to do their recruitment. You can engage them to do different things, like human resource, but on the web. Minister of Finance, we are good, right?
Yes, ma'am.
So you people, thank you very much. Oh, this my Lenovo I've refused to own. To God be the glory. Okay, so we'll see in another class next week Sunday.
Thank you, ma.
Kasa pass.
You must pass. I don't used to teach people that used to fail, so you don't have choice.
Thank you. Good night, ma'am.
Good night.
Thank you.
Good night, ma. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for sharing your screen. Thank you.
You're welcome, ma.
Good night.